Tankless water heaters. Let's talk about those.
Yeah.
Do not mess with tankless water heaters yourself as a homeowner. You're going to do nothing but damage it.
Yeah.
They do need to be serviced. Depending on the manufacturer, they're going to recommend how often it should be serviced. And if you choose not to service it at all and it fails, it shuts down, it won't work, and you got to call a plumber, chances are they may not warranty it if it's still under warranty because you did not take care of it like you were supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the case with, my understanding, most tankless water heaters. There's a lot of mechanical parts in there, and depending on how bad your water is, you know.
Yeah, we have really hard water.
Hard water.
In
So
Los Angeles. Yeah.
if you have that situation, you know, that manufacturer may say, well, if you have really hard water, really bad water that have it flushed at least once a year. Mm-hmm. And a plumber has to do that. They have to come over with a solvent, and they have to flush right through the pipes and then clean it out. Basically what they're doing is cleaning out all the buildup inside there, so it lasts a long time. Yeah. And tankless water heaters just haven't been around long enough to really know how long they really last.
Right.
Everyone says, 20 years. I'm like, have they been out for 20 years? I'm not so sure.
We're getting there. 20 years ago was 2003.
Yeah,
so.
it might. I think we might be on the cusp of that.
Yeah.
Here's my favorite topic: HVAC systems. Mm-hmm. All right, this is the one problem I find in just about every house because, you know, like I said, you're not required to know all these things about a house to own one. Mm-hmm. But when you buy a house, you really should know what needs to be maintained and what doesn't. Heating and cooling comes with a filter if you have a central cooling and heating system. Even if you have just a forced air furnace that's no AC, you're still going to have a filter. Mm-hmm. The filters can be in the wall, they could be in the ceiling, they could be underneath the furnace. Let's say it's in a closet or up in the attic. Mm-hmm. There's many different places they can be. So my advice to anybody is familiarize yourself where your filters are, how many you have, and how many you have doesn't mean that's the correct number. So what I'm trying to say is you may buy a house and Joe homeowner before you said, you know what? I want to add 2 more filters to my system that only needs 1.
Mm-hmm. I think we had that recently. There was 2 filters.
Yep.
And it was impacting how effective.
I found 3 in one house not too long ago. Three filters. I put up a video up of that because I was like, what? Within 3 feet, there's 3 filters.
Okay.
It wasn't one like on the other end of the house. Right. It was like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. So the filter, that one little thing, that cheap, inexpensive little thing can shut down your system. And here's a fun fact for everybody. The filter is not for your air quality in your breathing, whether you think so or not. I know you can go to Home Depot and Lowe's and look at that mile, 20 feet high of filter choices. And it's like, I go in there and I'm like just holding my head going, what the hell, man? There's so many choices.
Yeah.
So they sell fancy ones, hyperallergenic, this, that, the other thing. It's not helping your breathing.
It's all marketing.
It's all marketing. Okay. So sorry, HVAC companies, but filter makers, I should say. The filter serves one purpose, and that is to keep dirt out of the system.
Yep.
That's all it's for. So that filter has to be clear. So in order for you to have a properly running heating and cooling system, the filter needs to be clear so that enough air that system requires to come in as it's pushing out air through the supply registers. So air comes in, air goes out. It's got to have a certain amount of air to perform correctly. Mm-hmm. Each system is balanced and set to perform a certain way. So it's really important to keep your filter changed to make sure that system's always getting the amount of air it needs through the return plenum. That's all you have to do with an HVAC system. Don't do anything else to it. Don't do anything else to it because you'll just screw it up.
Yeah, you'll void your warranty. Just get someone in, do it right before the winter and right before summer, like the change of seasons, right? You do your heater, you do your AC.
Yep.
They'll service it for you. They'll clean it all out.
Yeah. And you can set up a scheduled maintenance with a reputable HVAC company. Real easy to do. They'll be more than happy to take your money. But the good thing about that is they're always going to let you know when it's time for them to come. So you can forget about it now. They're going to let you know, hey, we got to come service. Oh, great. And I guarantee you, you're going to have minimal problems.
Yeah. Every 6 months.
With your system because you're actually having it looked at.
Yeah.
Now, if you are having problems, then you may want to get a different service, different company, because I've seen too many people. Oh, we just had the guy come last week. I'm like, really? Oh, did he walk past the 20 feet of AC line with no insulation on it?
Ooh.
Did he not see the third filter? I've seen that.
Now
I've had people tell me he was just here. He just serviced. Here's the receipt. I'm like, you need to call him back and get your money back. So that happens. So anyway, check your filters. If it's a regular 1-inch filter, typically 24 by 18 or whatever they are, just change them every 2 to 3 months. Yeah,
especially if you have pets.
Oh, change them more than that. Every 2 months.
If you have pets, it's like every other month, because you pull it out and it's just hair.
Yeah. And hair just
it's going to clog everything. Yeah, you want to get that out. That's not great.
If you have a real thick media filter, if you notice it's underneath, it's really thick. It's like 4 inches tall. Those are typically suggested to last every 6 to 12 months. So at about the 6-month mark, I just take a look at it and see if it's really dirty or if it's slightly dirty. There's a lot more surface area on those, so they last longer.
Yeah.
So that's that. HVAC, very important. That little filter can cost you thousands when you have to call the HVAC company. Hey, my system don't work.
Like me.
And because someone didn't change their filter, so you just pay $250 for an emergency service call in the middle of summer, and they say, "Oh yeah, we just changed your filter."
Yep. Take the time to do it, guys. I know life gets busy, but just do it.
No excuses. All right, so that covers that. All right, so something you brought up yesterday, was explaining to homeowners how to pest-proof their house.
Yes.
So do tell.
Yeah.
What do you know about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, we didn't really talk about, termites, because that's another inspection, right? So when you're buying a house, you want to get your general home inspection. And I usually recommend you should also get a termite done.
Sure.
Right? And people do that to take care of it. It's not a big deal. And they think, okay, I did the termites, I'm done. No. And they never think about it ever again.
You're not done.
Especially in California, where they're super, super common and they swarm, and it's really gross.
Yep.
It is recommended that you actually check for termites annually and do spot treatments, right? If you do a couple of spot treatments here and there, it's way less invasive and time consuming than having to tent and fumigate your house. Right. And a treatment should last a couple of years, right? But if you just let it go for years and years and years, and then you check and they're like, hey, like you have a really big problem, or you have dry rot, or whatever you have going on. It's like, well, now you have to vacate your house and tent for a couple of days. Right. That sucks. So just get it checked. Like that should be a part of your annual maintenance, or if you want to spray for bugs, right? Things like that.
Right.
There's options, like I'm very worried about what sort of chemicals are brought. I have 2 dogs and a kid, right? Sure. So when I get my pest control guy over, I'm like, hey, just remember I have a kid and 2 dogs. Like, please don't poison my family. Right. And there, thanks. There's a couple different, options that they have if that is something that is important to you and something you want to be super mindful of. But, bringing that in, it's just do it. Otherwise, when it gets really, really hot, that's when all the ants come in. Yeah. And you don't want to have to deal with that.
Yeah, I've had ants before.
Get it on a schedule. Like when that season's going to change, just have someone come. It's really not that expensive. They'll do your whole house and they check your house for vulnerabilities for rodents, right? You don't want to deal with mice or rats getting into your attic or under your foundation. And it's a whole thing. Just make sure.
Let's explain to everybody what attracts termites. Unpainted wood.
Yep. Or, when wood is in contact with the dirt, we talked about the siding that goes all the way to the ground, right? Like that is going to create a vulnerability in your house and attract termites and rot.
So if you wood trim around the house, especially by your roof edge, if it looks like it's like bare wood, you need to get it painted because they're gonna the paint's gonna give them a little challenge to get through. They can still get through it, but bare wood, they're right on it.
Yeah, and like an area where people don't see, and we see this most commonly, is under the house. Right. The posts in your foundation, they're just in the ground. They're old, right? Let's say the house is built in the 20s, and it's like no one's been under there.
Right.
And you're like, oh,
cobwebs and
there is
termites.
A piece of wood just directly into the dirt, and this is going to be a huge potential problem, right?
Yeah. Subterranean termites. I've seen them from the dirt, like 18 inches up, just build a little tunnel, tubes.
Yep.
And then went right into the wood framing. It's crazy. I was like, wow, look at all that. And I seen one house that had like 5 or 6 of them in the same area. I'm like, wow.
Oh, wow.
I said to my termite guy, how long did it take them to build that? Oh, maybe a couple days.
That's gross.
I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
And for anyone who's like reading a pest report, if you get like a termite inspection, you're going to see section 1 and section 2 termites. Section 1 means there is an active infestation. There is something going on. Typically, the seller takes care of this before closing. Section 2 is
evidence.
This is potentially going to become a problem, but you do not have like an active thing. Don't put it on the back burner for too long because it will become section 1 eventually. Typically, customarily, the buyer is on the hook to deal with that at their leisure, but I wouldn't hold off for too long because then it's going to become a bigger issue. Yeah.
So, and then we get the, how to avoid getting rodents inside your house. So I got a few pointers for that. Yeah, the first thing I would do when you're done listening to this podcast is go outside to your house, look for your air conditioning unit on the outside, and follow the hose that goes into the wall. And if you could stick your fingers in through the opening where the hoses go into the wall, that's too much. You want to get some steel wool and some spray foam from any one of your home stores and fill that in. Yeah, like today, because they can just get in there and that thing goes typically up to the attic, or if it goes into a garage, it'll go right to the furnace. And then you're just giving them a little walkway, a custom walkway to get right into your attic. I see this all the time. It's a very easy fix. If you already have a rodent problem and you seal that up, well, you may be trapping them inside now. So then you're going to have somebody come over and set traps and kind of do some remediation. And the bummer of that, the worst part of the rodent issue is they're nasty and they contaminate all your attic insulation if they get up there. And you don't want to be breathing that. Yeah. I would not leave that in my house if I found that. Yeah, I'd get rid of that immediately. Yeah. Have that. And nowadays there's tons of attic companies out there. It's like a new thing. Oh, past really? 5 years. Yeah. They're just like attic cleaning companies. They rip out all your infested insulation. They vacuum it all out and just re-insulate.
I mean, that's worth it.
They decontaminate too.
I feel like when you look at all these old houses, there's like no insulation left, or it's, it's just, it looks really bad. And like, that's ultimately going to save you, the homeowner, a lot of money. Because if you have poor insulation, you're running your AC more, you're running your heat more. It can't regulate the temperature in your house. Right. So you're like, okay, well, I want to save money and I'm not going to deal with my insulation, but you're going to pay up the ass on your electric and gas bill. Yeah. So I don't know if anyone's paying attention with what's happening with the gas prices right now. Yeah. But bills are doubling, tripling.
I've been biting my nails waiting for my gas bill.
I won't look at it. I'm just like, you know what? Like, I can't even, I mean, what am I going to do? Right? Like we adapt as responsible as we are with how much gas we use. It's like, we have to use it. And I just.
Propane.
Yeah, maybe.
Out in the backyard barbecuing more often. Yeah. So, there's a rodent company that I had as a guest. It's called Green Rodent Restoration. Okay. They were a guest a few months back, and they do all that. If there's a rodent infestation, they're gonna try to correct the problem. They're not just gonna throw down a box outside, right, to give them a place to sleep. Right. The trap in it.
Right. And they're supposed to come back and like check periodically to like bring all that back. So you're not just like sitting there with a trap that was sprung and you're just kind of dealing with the aftermath of that. Like they need to be coming back and check every couple of days and clear stuff out.
I'm going to tell you a true story now. Years ago, I did this really big house and I believe it was Hidden Hills.
Okay.
Very expensive neighborhood. This place looked like a castle. I was there all day.
Oh, wow.
It was exhausting. That's why I remember it. So anyway, I go up in these attics. This house had like 4 different attics.
Wow.
4 different walkable attics. That's how big they were because the roof was so pitched. The pitch on the roof was like probably a 10 or a 12.
Oh, wow.
Slate roof tiles, the whole thing. And every attic had rat traps with rats in them.
Nope.
Dead rats with hair still on them. So it was recent. It wasn't like skeletons. Some of them fully, all the hair was still on them. Rat shit and contaminated insulation everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. I mean, this is probably the worst case I've seen. And this is a very expensive home.
Yeah.
So I make my notes. I go down and give my overview at the end. What do you call it? My overview? What term you?
Your report? No. Or you mean at the end? Your postmortem?
Postmortem.
Yes. Fancy buzzwords, you guys.
This was a true postmortem because there was a lot of dead things.
Yikes.
So I think I counted like 6 or 7 dead rats and traps in this whole house. And so I'm going to give my postmortem to everybody. By the way, there's an active rodent problem here, and it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
The listing agent, what do you think she said to me?
It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it.
No, think bigger than that.
Bigger than that. Oh, man. What'd she say? Or what he or she say?
She said, all houses have rats.
No.
That was her response.
No, they don't, you guys. Not all houses have rats. They don't. That is incorrect.
So I was thinking, so if I bought a house, can I pick my rats? Can I get white ones or some cute gray ones, black ones? Which one should I get to go with my house? That is the stupidest thing I ever fucking heard.
Yeah.
And I knew the realtor on the buyer side pretty well. So we kind of looked at each other like,
the fuck?
What'd you just say? And we both just like, so she knew what to do.
Yeah.
The realtor I knew. I knew what to do. He just deal with it.
Yeah.
So obviously they're getting in somewhere.
Right.
On a regular basis.
Yes.
So no one's treating, well, they have a service. Well, like, what do you mean they have a service? Well, they come out and feed the rats?
Yeah.
Is that the service? And she's like, well, no, they have, they said, I'm like, yeah, ma'am, they're in the building.
Yeah.
So they're obviously coming and going at their leisure. So whoever's doing the service is not giving you a true service.
Right.
Because all they're doing is renting you bait traps on the outside of that building. Awful. So that's terrible. Yeah. So your house should not have pests in it. No. If your house has pests in it, I mean, when I say pests, I'm talking about rats, mice, maybe something bigger like a raccoon or a skunk. You shouldn't have that happening.
Right.
If that's happening, there's a spot on your property that you're not aware of. That's a big opening, and they're going in. So if you have a deck, look under it, which means you may need to crawl under it. Yeah. Put a crawl space suit on so you don't get all dirty and stuff, and just take a good look with a flashlight. Yeah. Because you'd be surprised what they can get into.
Yeah. And like by like a big hole doesn't mean it's like this big. Like they can get into a space like this big.
Yeah. Rats and mice. Yeah.
You might not think it's a big deal. Right. They could squeeze into these itty bitty little spaces and you don't even.
That spray foam goes a long way. Yeah. It'll help.
Yeah.
It'll help. So if you have rats, it's not normal. Just letting you know.
But there are some houses that might be a little more vulnerable to that. So if you have fruit trees.
Yes.
Or a garden, right? You know, people got really into having backyard gardens over the past couple of years. Having food is going to attract rodents. Like it kind of comes with
compost.
The territory. Yes.
Is the worst thing you can do to your property. Composting in your backyard will attract them like you wouldn't believe.
So you just want to stay on top of it and be proactive in making sure that your house does not have any vulnerabilities if you have fruit trees and gardens and things like that, because it's a big neon sign telling them free food.
Yeah, and there's some great videos on YouTube about setting traps with those 5-gallon buckets.
Oh, really?
For rats and mice. I'm actually going to do it for my mom next time I go visit her.
Just take a video of like setting it up.
Yeah, these guys these people do it all the time. It's like, wow, it works. It works.
Nice.
They fill it with water at the bottom. They crawl on top, and whatever's on top is very like loose.
Got it.
As soon as they hit
stuck,
they fall right in.
Yeah.
They can't get out. So it's one way to get rid of them if they're inside.
Yeah.
So it's one way to deal with it.